الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا أنفقوا من طيبات ما كسبتم ومما أخرجنا لكم من الأرض ولا تيمموا الخبيث منه تنفقون ولستم بآخذيه إلا أن تغمضوا فيه واعلموا أن الله غني حميد. الشيطان يعظكم الفقر ويأمركم بالفحشاء والله يعظكم مغفرة منه وفضلا والله واسع عليم. يؤتي الحكمة من يشاء ومن يؤت الحكمة فقد أوتي خيرا كثيرا وما يذكر إلا أولو الألباب. وما أنفقتم من نفقة أو نذرتم من نذر فإن الله يعلم وما للظالمين من أنصار. إن تبدوا الصدقات فنعما هي وإن تخفوها وتؤتوها الفقراء فهو خير لكم ويكفر عنكم من سيئاتكم والله بما تعملون خبير. ليس عليك هداهم ولكن الله يهدي من يشاء وما تنفقوا من خير فلأنفسكم وما تنفقون إلا ابتغاء وجه الله وما تنفقوا من خير يوفى إليكم وأنتم لا تظلمون للفقراء الذين أحصروا في سبيل الله لا يستطيعون ضربا في الأرض يحسبهم الجاهل أغنياء من التعفف تعرفهم بسيماهم لا يسألون الناس إلحافا وما تنفقوا من خير فإن الله به عليم.
O you who believe, give of the good things which you have honorably earned, and of the fruits of the earth which we have produced for you. And do not give from the bad things when you wouldn't accept it yourself, except that you did so pretending to be ignorant of its contamination. And be aware that God is free from wanting anything and worthy of the perfect praise. The devil threatens you with poverty and invites you to indecent behavior. God promises you his forgiveness and access to his bounties. And God cares for all, and he knows everything. He grants wisdom to whomever he pleases, and whomever wisdom is granted to, they receive an abundance of good. But none will comprehend the message except the possessors of the first door. And whatever you spend in charity, or whatever you commit to, be certain God knows it all. But the wrongdoers have no helpers. It is okay if you offer charity openly, but if you concealed it and get it to those who are truly in need, that is better for you. It will remove some of your bad deeds, and God is well acquainted with what you do. It is not your responsibility, O messenger, to make them follow the right path, but God guides whomever he pleases. Whatever good you give benefits your own souls, providing you do it seeking God's approval. Charity is for those in need and those who, while striving in God's cause, are unable to travel and cannot move about in the land, seeking work for their livelihood. Those who don't know their true condition assume that they have no needs because they refrain from begging people to keep from being troublesome or burden. But you will recognize them by their distinctive mark. And whatever you give of good, know that God is well aware of it.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا أنفقوا من طيبات ما كسبتم ومما أخرجنا لكم من الأرض ولا تيمموا الخبيث منه تنفقون ولستم بآخذيه إلا أن تغمضوا فيه واعلموا أن الله غني حميد. الشيطان يعظكم الفقر ويأمركم بالفحشاء والله يعظكم مغفرة منه وفضلا والله واسع عليم. يؤتي الحكمة من يشاء ومن يؤت الحكمة فقد أوتي خيرا كثيرا.
Dear believing Muslims, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. We ask, request, beg, plead that you please turn off your cell phones until after Jumah. Please. Thank you. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala salat. Hayya ala salat. Hayya ala falah. Hayya ala falah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nukminu bihi azza wa jal. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah wa ashhadu anna sayyidina Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ittaqu Allaha haqqa tuqatihi wa la tamutunna illa wa antum muslimun. Ya ayyuhan nasu rabbukum alladhi khalaqakum min nafsin wahidatin wa khalaqa minha zawjaha wa batha minhuma rijalan kathiran wa nisaa. Wa ittaqu Allaha alladhi nasa'aluna bihi wa arham. Inna Allaha kana alaykum raqiba. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ittaqu Allaha wa qulu qawlan sadida. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu idha nudiya lis-salati min yawmil jumu'ati fais'au ila dhikrillahi wahdaru bayya. Dhalikum khayrun lakum in kuntum ta'lamun. And that is with Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful Redeemer. The perfect praise belongs to Allah, the guardian evolver, the cherisher, the keeper and sustainer of all systems of knowledge. We render all praise to Him, and we seek His help, and we beg His forgiveness for our obvious shortcomings. Mighty and sublime is He. I openly testify that there is no deity worthy of worship but Allah alone, the one and only. He has no partners, and there are no heirs to his throne. And this is verified in the Holy Quran, where it states that Allah, the merciful benefactor, is firmly established on the throne of authority. So, to the Muslim man and the Muslim woman who is firm in their iman and they have tawheed in their hearts, they understand the felicity and the security that comes with the recognition of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who with his totally awesome will has given man his own personal will that allows us to turn to him without force but with pleasure. And even if we refuse his godhood or his highness, he suffers not, because his existence doesn't rely on our worship or even any recognition of him. That's a character flaw that I would say is that you would attribute to the Greek mythical god Zeus, who relies on his subjects to worship him in order for him to maintain in his position or maintain his throne. But Allah is Akbar, and we bear witness to this. And then we also openly testify that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the last messenger prophet to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we also understand that he is the gift that we graciously accept from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed the earth with our Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the world immediately benefited from his being born. It was reported that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that many prophets were sent to their individual people, but I was sent to all of mankind. And then the Quran further explains to us the titles that should be bestowed on him. It says, Rasul Allahi wa Khatma an Nabiyyin. It says that he is the messenger of Allah and he's the seal of the prophets. And then the Quran, it further tells us again how we should address the Rasul by putting salawats on him whenever we mention his name. And we should do this for no other reason that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Malaika, the angels, do this also. So we ask Allah's peace, and we ask that his blessings and his highest exaltations be on Muhammad, on the Sahaba and his family, the righteous all, on you Muslims be peace. Assalamu alaikum. The Quran says, O you who believe, fear Allah as he should be feared, and die not except as a Muslim willfully submitting to his will. It says, O mankind, fear your guardian Lord who created you from a single person, created out of it its mate, and from them twain scattered countless men and women. Fear Allah through whom you demand your mutual rights, and be heedful of the wounds that bore you. O you who believe, fear Allah and always be straight to the point. O you who believe, when the call is proclaimed to prayer on Friday, hasten earnestly to the remembrance of Allah and leave off business that is best for you if you but knew. Sadaqallahu Atim. Allah the Mighty spoke the truth. Now, the Holy Quran tells us, it says, when a courteous greeting is given, you meet it with the greeting still more courteous, or at least of equal courtesy. Allah takes into account all things. And what could be more courteous or more beautiful than our universal greeting of Assalamu alaikum? No, it was written that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Father Adam, our first father Adam alayhi salam, that he breathed ruhi into Adam alayhi salam. One of the first things that he ordered Adam to do was to go to the angels. Adam went to the angels and they greeted him. They said, Assalamu alaikum. And Adam said, Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuhu. Allah said that he told Adam alayhi salam, he said, this would be the greeting for you and your progeny. And we are that progeny. And our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that you would not enter the garden until you had faith. And you would not have faith until you love one another. And if you should do this, should I tell you another way to enter the garden? He said, spread greetings amongst one another. So if you look at those two pieces of information, it has Adam. Adam is the first father. And then Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's the seal of the prophets. So between that time that Adam alayhi salam was created and the time that Muhammad, peace be upon him, you have a line that's consistent. They all have that same greeting. So Allah is telling us that this greeting is not for a certain demographic. It's not for a certain region or people, but it's a universal greeting. Everyone says this. The Arabs, the Christians, the Jews, the Chinese, the Muslims, Isa ibn Maryam alayhi salam, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, everyone says this. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is Ilam, He's the all-knowing, because through this greeting that we give each other, He is actually preparing His slaves for Jannah in the Akhirah by training us in this beautiful common courtesy that also serves as a well wish for our brothers and sisters. You know, when we say that, we mean good. We come in with salutations of peace, right? And then the Holy Quran, it tells us, it says, when you enter the garden, that the first words will be peace. And Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives us a taste of the garden in this life by letting us come together in Jumah, which happens to also be the day that Adam alayhi salam, our first father, was created. And it also serves as a certain day, serves as a day that a certain level of intellect in man was given rise to. So with that, with us knowing that, with us having that information, I should see nothing but smiles on the faces of the believers today. You know, on this day in particular, because there's no hardship on us. It's no burden to be here, you know. In fact, to be here on Jumu'ah, this is the day that we get more blessings. This is the day that we get more learning. And this is also a day to be reminded of our duty to our Lord, right? And the chief reason why we're here today is to receive admonition about the afterlife. That's the purpose of this Jumu'ah. Because we can get caught up in the dunya so much that besides the prayer, you know, you don't really get the time to reflect on the afterlife, you know, or the akhirah. You know, how many times do you get to really think about the afterlife, or do you choose to think about the afterlife other than Jumu'ah? I mean, think about the TV, you know, the radio, the internet, the magazines, even your jobs. You see, you know, we see and hear all kinds of things. Even on the way to Jumu'ah, we hear and see all kinds of things, and we hear all kinds of foolishness. We see all kinds of foolishness, but does any of it remind you of the akhirah, the afterlife? You know, that's why it's the job of the imam or the khateeb to help remind us of that reality. You know, because most of us, we get caught up in the dunya or the world outside, and we become delinquent and negligent or neglectful, and our focus is not on the after, you know, it's on what's going on right now. You know, none of it really reminds you of what goes on after this life. So to be in Jumu'ah is a blessing. It's a blessing to be here because you get that reminder. Now, some things may not, or that may be said during the Jumu'ah. You know, it's about learning, but some things may not be favorable, or you may feel that you are being singled out. But the question is, what is admonition? You know, admonition is a wake-up call. And, you know, when it's interesting because when it first hits us, most of us don't like it. You know, most of us don't like admonition. It's like an alarm clock. When the alarm clock goes off in the morning time, the first thing you want to do, you want to smash the alarm clock. Or you want to throw it up against the wall or shut it off or keep pushing the snooze button. But when you snap out of that, when you snap out of your slumber, you understand that the alarm clock was only there as a warning to you to not be late. That was the purpose of the alarm clock, you know. So one minute you're mad at the alarm clock for warning you, then the next minute you appreciate it. So the average person doesn't like admonition from the onset, because it makes them have to be responsible, right? And cognizant of what's going on and what they're going to be held accountable for. That's what the admonition does. I mean, why do you think that the messengers came to the wrongdoers and the mujrimun, the criminals, and with a message that they weren't trying to hear? They didn't want to hear what the messengers or the prophets were saying, because the admonition makes them have to at least look at what they were doing with the possibility that they would at least reflect on the seriousness of their actions. You know? That's why the Quran says, فَإِن تَوَلَّوْا فَإِنَّمَا عَلَيْكُمْ بَلَغُ مُبِينٌ. It says, but if they turn away, it is your duty to convey a clear message. Balagul Mubin. Now, the admonition is universal because it gets the same result regardless of what level the admonition is on, whether it's a small admonition or a big admonition. It gets the same result. You know, some brothers and sisters, the minute that you tell them something, you know, they get all on the offensive, especially when you're trying to instill some corrective information, or when you're talking about the religion, when you're talking about the deen, they get all offensive. You say, a brother may say, brother, you should wear this, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. That may be good information, you know, but some people, they reject that. You know, I don't know if it's because of the way it was delivered or what, but that's a form of admonition, you know. There was a hadith that was written, that was reported that the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that if you see your brother doing evil or doing wrong, and you put your hands on him, and he said if you cannot stop it that way, then stop it with your tongues. And then if you can't, he said and then he said if you cannot stop it that way, then you wish for it in your heart. But that's the weakest of faith. That example, you know, from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That example right there is showing that admonition is okay. You know, admonition, it is okay. Because admonition is a reminder, brothers and sisters. It's a reminder. It's not punishment. You know, the punishment comes after the admonition. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you read the Quran, it tells you that He never destroyed a town or population without first sending admonition, without sending warners, right? It says, never did we destroy a population but had its warners. So you're going to get warned first. You're going to be given some lessons or some education on what you should be doing before the heat come down on you. You know, and one of the main admonitions that I want to bring to our minds today, brothers and sisters, is the benefits of remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Holy Quran, it tells us, it says, وَلَا ذِكْرُ اللَّهِ أَكْبَرُ وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ تَصْنَعُونَ. It says that the remembrance of Allah is greater, without doubt, and Allah knows all that you do. Now, there are many instances in the Quran where it provides proof that we benefit from the remembrance of Allah, you know, from the remembrance of our Lord. The mere fact that He has given us the Quran and the Sunnah of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that's the best evidence that we have today. That's the best evidence that we can go by. And through my understanding, I come to the conclusion that this deen is not free. You know, it comes with a price tag hooked on it. It's not free, Muslims. I know we may think it is. The Constitution may say that it is, but it actually comes with a hefty price. But only when you pay the price will you be able to get the full benefit or the full value of your worship. But what determines if your worship is valid? It doesn't come when the waters are calm, right? It's not going to come that way. It's going to come through fitna, through trials. And I'm not advocating that I know what your trials will be, or I'm not advocating that they'll be devastating or that they'll be minimal, but there will be trials that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us to test what we say that we believe in. The Holy Quran says, do men think that they will be left alone on saying we believe and they will not be tested? Understand, believers, that belief or faith is dormant without action. It's dormant. Your iman or your belief system is not beneficial or non-beneficial because the faith you profess to have hasn't produced anything. You have to produce. I mean, you can walk around, and some of us do it. You can walk around all holier than thou if you want, and that's a good situation if it's like that, you know, because the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that you can do 5 things to enter the Jannah. He said you can do 5 things. Now, we can argue what those 5 things are, we can say that those 5 things are the 5 pillars of Islam, but one of those things out of that 5 pillars you may not be able to fulfill, and that being the Hajj. Surely Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to send you to the hellfire if you don't make the physical pilgrimage. That's not going to happen, because you can make the pilgrimage in your heart. The pilgrimage can be made in your heart, and your desire and your love to want to go to the pilgrimage. And we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He blesses the believer, the sincere believer, for his niyat, for his intentions. Or it could be the 5 prayers, it could be the 5 prayers, which fall under the umbrella of remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also. So again, brothers, can we move up a little bit, please? So again, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said you could do these 5 things to enter the Jannah. However, people read that hadith and they ascertain that they don't have to do anything else but those 5 things. I mean, some of them, they even go so far as to cut themselves out of the fabric of society, and that's really insane. When you think about, or when you take into account that the Quran said, and I just heard this when Sheikh Daniel Kareem was reciting, the ignorant man thinks because of their modesty that they're free of want. So some of us, we become Muslim, and then we automatically, what we do, we separate ourselves from our family. We separate ourselves from the normal things in life, right? They not even haram, but we separate ourselves because we think that that's a form of piety. But that's not what Allah said. Matter of fact, He says reverence the wounds that bore you, right? So I really don't think that was the intent of that hadith, And then there was the hadith, and we all familiar with these hadith about the man who stayed in the masjid all day, and he prayed, and he did dhikrullah. The remembrance of Allah was high on his list. But when the people came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and asked him, they said, or they told him about this person, he said, well, who takes care of him? They said, we do. He said, well, you are better than him. Now, what he was telling them, and he wasn't talking about better as far as a person, right? I mean, we are, or a soul, but better than him in production and making things happen for himself. And what he was telling them also is that it's easy to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as you should. But don't forget your responsibility. Don't forget your share of the dunya also, right? So it's not our job, dear brothers and sisters, to worship only. That's not what we were put here for. The angels, the malaika, they have that covered. They have that part covered. Even they have responsibilities. Certain angels have responsibility. But and I'll tell you this, even our Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was cautioned about that. It tells us in Surah Muzammil, it tells us it says to stand in prayer by night, but not all night. A lot of us, we during this beautiful month of Ramadan, which is past now, we stood in prayer. We stood in prayer by night, but not all night. We did the Tarawih prayers. We read the 30 juz each day for 30 days, right? Completed the whole Quran. And but it says in the surah, it goes further down in the surah, and it says, there is for thee by day prolonged occupation with ordinary duties. So after we got finished making the Tarawih prayers, we left and we went home because we got to go to work the next day. We got to be productive. I mean, some people would love to stay in the masjid all day, but that's not possible in these days and times. But so there is for thee by day prolonged occupation with ordinary duties. There's the balance, Muslims. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has given us the mind to be able to be balanced people, being able to coexist in the physical realm as well as the spiritual realm without transgressing any of those limits. That's how Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam was. That is how we should be. He gave us the balance. But even in your balanced life, balanced as it may be, your faith will be tested to see if you are fit to be called a mu'min. Your faith will be tested in that. A soldier never knows his strengths or his weaknesses until he's been tested. So we must take a balanced approach to this because even the best of us get tested. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that the ones who get the biggest test are the prophets and the messengers. And then he said, then the utmost in faith, and then the ones after that, you know. So the prophets, any of the prophets alayhi salam, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, any of their tests can't be our test. And my test can't be your test. And your test can't be my test. Because if that was the case, then we will fail each time. You know, and the Quran tells us, it says that no soul can bear the weight of another soul. You know. I mean, you may have a little test, but if I'm put up against your little test, I may fail it. Why? And why is that? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He doesn't give us a burden greater than we can bear, Muslims. He doesn't do that. And then, in the Holy Quran, it tells us, it says, Qad aflahal mu'minun. It says, and successful indeed are the believers. So, we know based on that statement, as believers, that we're going to win in life. We're going to win. But it won't be handed to us on a silver platter. We're going to be tried and we're going to be tested in all aspects of our lives. And this is further verified. Verified, I go to the Quran often. It says that you should certainly be tried and tested in your possessions and in yourselves. And you should certainly hear things that will grieve you from those who receive the book before you and those who commit shirk. But if you persevere patiently and guard against evil, then that indeed is the determining factor. Sadaqallahu ad-Din. So it's telling us that there's going to be some collateral losses in our worship or as a result of our faith. There's going to be some losses. But how you respond to those losses is the thing. Follow this ayat, or let this ayat that I just read go full circle in your life, right? And then you'll know if you got yourself something or not. This is when you know if all the faith that you say you have is going to work for you, if it's real or not. But you know, patience is a major factor in all of this. You know, because a lot of us, we don't give the deen a chance to work for us before we go darling. But what I'm saying is this: give the deen a chance to work. You know, because quite simply, the test only comes to those who say that they believe, or to the ones who say that they love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because everybody gets tested, everybody gets a test of some sort. You know, adversity, it comes to everyone. But the test don't come again until you say you believe. I am thoroughly convinced that the disbelievers out here in the world, that they feel that they don't get tested. You know, to them, life is just a run-of-the-mill thing. As a matter of fact, when a calamity falls on one of them, they blame God. You know, they blame Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even though He is the creator of all good. So, when a disbeliever blames God for their own indiscretions, they need to stop and look at what role did they play in that indiscretion, right? What could they have done differently to influence a different outcome? Because we have choices, Muslims. We have choices. We've been given a brain and faculties to make decisions. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wasn't in the disbeliever when he stole, or when he drank liquor, or when he fornicated, or when he gambled. You know, that was the shaitan that was in him. Or that was the shaitan that made him beat his wife or oppress his children because they have the wrong concept of what God is or who God is. So we need to call it what it is, you know. We need to be, I would say, that the disbeliever needs to get on the right path, right? He need to hold on to the rope of Allah so he can see or feel what we feel when we mention Allah's name, right? When we remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, he need to get on the hawk. Like the young brothers say, they need to get on the hawk. They need to get on the truth, you know. Because when you're on that straight path, only then will life, you know, or when you start receiving the good that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has for you, only then will your life have new meaning. Because without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as your wali, as your protector, your life has no meaning. Allahu Akbar. Let's make dua. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna sayyidina Muhammadan Rasulullah. Brothers and sisters, and continue with my talk, the benefits of remembering Allah. We talked a lot about the fitna that is put on us in the first half. And even though I didn't mention the remembrance of Allah much in the first half, we need to understand that fitna is the path through which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is most remembered. Most people, when their lives are good, and the money is flowing, and they drink it from the fountain of Salsabil, they don't think of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unless their golden calf is compromised. Y'all understand what I'm saying? There's a verse from the angel or from the Bible and it says, it is easy for a camel to get through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. And that's partly true. But I know some brothers right now who are in here who are successful brothers, and they're devout Muslims, right? So that doesn't apply to everybody. But when you look at the world out here, that statement holds true. But when people feel that they got it made, or when they feel that the struggle is over, a lot of people, they don't feel that they need prayer, They don't think that they need to call on a stronger force because they got everything at their disposal. Look at these people. You got the Donald Trump, Bill Gates, all these people, these prima donna athletes. They think that they got it made, and they won't call on anything that can't be influenced by them dead presidents, by their money. That's what they call on. But the believing Muslim isn't like that. When things are bad for us, we pray hard. And when things are good for us, we pray harder. That's how we do. The Quran says, those who believe in hearts find satisfaction in the remembrance of Allah, for without doubt in the remembrance of Allah do the hearts find satisfaction. Sadaqallahu Atheem. Now, people have many ways to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Arabic word is dhikr. We say dhikr. We're doing dhikrs, right? And it's derived from the word dhakara, which means to commemorate, to remember, or to bear in mind. A normal practice of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam was to remember Allah by saying Subhanallah 33 times, Alhamdulillah 33 times, and Allahu Akbar 33 times, and then saying La ilaha illallah. That was one of the ways that he remembered Allah. Now Imam Muhammad said that, he said that we can say these dhikrs 10 times also. And he also explained to us what these dhikrs, or what the 10 represent. He said that the 10 represents the consciousness in man, and it also represents the consciousness in the religion. And he gave us proof. He said that the adhan is called 5 times a day. And out of that 5 times, there's a response 5 times a day. So, and this is done 5 times a day. So, he's saying that with the 5 and the 5, that's the 10. And again, the 10 signifies consciousness of Allah at all times. And I know that some of us may not be familiar with Imam Muhammad, or some of them may not even agree with Imam Muhammad, but it was reported by Abdul Allah ibn Amr, radiallahu anhu, who said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that there are 2 qualities no Muslim man can acquire them but will enter paradise. And they are simple and easy. He should say Subhanallah 10 times. He should, after the prayer, then he should say Alhamdulillah 10 times. And then he should magnify Allah 10 times and then say La ilaha illallah. I saw the messenger counting on his fingers. So those are 2 pieces of dalil right there. So some of us, I've had people come to me and say, why you do that? You should have did it this many times. They're actually paying attention to me doing my dhikrs after the prayer, right? Instead of worrying about their own self. But there is dalil for that, and it makes sense. So the 10 signifies the consciousness in man, because when the adhan is called, you are conscious when you respond to it, right? You're conscious. Now, some people, they even commemorate Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by saying all of his attributes after the prayer. They say all of his 99 names. Some of them they use dhikr beads, or they use the 3 points of their fingers like the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam did. Either way you choose, Either way you choose to do this, believers, wala dhikrullahi akbar. We should be remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in all aspects of our lives, even in our conversations that we have. Whatever we're doing, we should remember Allah. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said any conversation without the mention of Allah's name is a bad conversation. That's why when I talk to non-Muslims, right, I say this within myself. I say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. I automatically say that when I talk to non-believers because I don't know what conversation that they may get me into or what I may inadvertently agree to that gets written down on my record. You know, I can't take that chance. But when I'm dealing with the Muslims, when I'm dealing with the believers, I say to myself, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, because I want to get thrown up in a conversation. I want to say something in that conversation that gets me put an agenda. It's two different things. Now, another way that we can remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is by doing good acts and being kind and fair. These are some of the attributes of our Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. You know, this is how we show regardfulness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is how we worship Him inconspicuously in the best way. You know, being kind and fair and honorable. These are attributes that should be a part of our adab, right? This should be our second skin. So I'll get ready to shut it down. I won't be long, just a couple of more minutes, but I just want to say that we are just coming out of Ramadan, you know, a beautiful month, a blessed month, you know. But I have news. The struggle is not over. It's not over. You think because after 30 days that is over, just because you can eat a little bit when you want to, right? But it's not over, you know. The Ramadan was just a preparation for the real struggle. You know, that's what it was. I mean, understand, Muslims, brothers and sisters, that we are in some of the most trying times of our lives right now. Right now. I mean, money is tight. You know, the boss is a little mean at work. Stock markets are in a roller coaster if you're into that type of stuff. Gas prices fluctuating. Your families are being stressed out. And on top of that, we don't even get the added comfort of knowing if we're going to wake up the next day. You know? So life in itself is stressful. So even in the worst of times, how does the striving Muslim or the struggling Muslim act? You know, we surely won't take the road of the godless, heedless people after they lose their jobs or their money or their girlfriend and go kill everybody, then on top of that kill themselves. We're not going to do that. You know, Prophet Ayub alayhi salam, he didn't do that. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he didn't do that. Matter of fact, and Prophet Muhammad, he experienced more struggles and more hardship than any of us will ever do in our lives. He didn't take that road. And he said, in good times, remember the bad times, and in bad times, remember the good times. Then that's what we should do. That's how we should react, or this is how we should respond to fitna Muslims. We are conditioned as a people, as Muslims, to be able to take that hit on the chin. And if we fall down, we get back up, and then we shake it off, and then we keep on moving. That's how the Muslim responds. That's the believer, you know, because we're getting tested. We're getting tested by the hellfire every day. It's a thin line between Jahannam and Jannah. And the Quran says, Yawma al-nari yuftanun. He said that there will be a day when we will be tested over the fire. That's what it says, Yawma al-nari yuftanun. So again, how do we respond to the pressures of a society that seems at times to be working against us? First, we must remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at all times. Our tongue should be wet, and our brain should be soaked with the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell us? He said, remember me and I will remember you. Right? So that's His promise to us. He said, remember me and I will remember you. That's very reassuring, Muslims. So He is telling us that if you remember Him while you are strong, that He'll remember you while you're weak. Right? If you remember Him while you're rich, He'll remember you while you're poor. If you remember Him in your youth, He'll remember you in your old age. And if you remember Him in your life, that He would definitely remember you in your death. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he told the Rasul, He gave him a message to tell us in the Quran. And if you were at the Eid the other day, then you know that Ibrahim Rasul, the ambassador, he said this, and this is my favorite ayah, but it's a reassurance to us, right? And this is what he said: when my servants ask thee concerning me, I am indeed close to them. I answer the call of every suppliant when he calls on me. Let them also with a will listen to my call and believe in me, that they may walk in the right way. Very reassuring. And in closing, the Quran says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu udhkuru Allah dhikran kathiran. O you who believe, remember Allah with much remembrance. And our Rasul said, the uttering of the words subhanallah, alhamdulillah, and Allahu Akbar, and la ilaha illallah is more dearer to me than anything over which the sun rises. Allahumma salli wa ala ali Muhammadin kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik wa ala ali Muhammadin kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatan wa fil akhirati wa hasanatan wa qina adhaban nar. Rabbana atina min ladunka rahmatan wa hayyi lana min amrina rashada. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Came to salat.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala salah, hayya ala salah. Cards are coming to salat, cards are coming to salat. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Allahu Akbar. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه بيان الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان وأقيموا الوزن بالقسط ولا تكسروا الميزان والأرض وضعها للأنام فيها فاكهة والنخل ذات الأكمام وحب ذو العصف والريحان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان خلق الإنسان من صلصال كالفخار وخلق الجنة من مارج من نار فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب ما أغنى عنه ماله وما كسب سيصلى نارا ذات لهب وامرأته حملة الحطب في جيدها حبل من مسد الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum. Allahu Akbar. First I want to say Eid Mubarak to all those I didn't see. Yeah. But on behalf of the nation's mosque, we would like to wish you and your families a blessed Eid al-Fitr. We hope you enjoy the Eid festivities and the celebrations, and pray you continue to be blessed the whole year through. Additionally, we would like to send a special thanks to this year's Eid committee. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward them with good for their hard work, perseverance, and commitment to community life. Thank you, Jazakallahu Khair, for all those who sponsored, cooked for, served at, or participated in our community's iftar this year. Alhamdulillah, we were able to feed so many believers with your help. May all of your prayers and acts of worship during this blessed month be accepted. And then Masjid Muhammad's, the nation's mosque, is updating its membership records for those who are members, and we need your membership records in the email database in the coming days. We need this soon, and you will be receiving an email from us if you do not, or if you have not, if you have completed a membership application or file, then you know you're good. So, and then also don't forget to visit our website at www.thenationsmosque.org to stay connected. And then with the Minaret Pledge Building Fund, we want to thank you to those who have paid their pledges. Please honor your pledge and pay at www.thenationsmasjid.com or pay in the office. And then the weekend events, Saturday on the 2nd, between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., we have an SQL Fundamentals 1 orientation session. And then at 11 o'clock on Saturday the 2nd, Marvel Post 1 fundraiser. They were having a fish fry and vendor's paradise at America's Islamic Heritage Museum. The details are inside of your brochures. And then on Sunday, on the 3rd, at 9 o'clock a.m., we have a Shahada 101 course on Islamic studies. Then at 11 o'clock a.m., the Quranic reading class and prayer class. And then at 1:30, we have the public address. Yeah. Oh, and also the tafsir that was given every day on the website, every day during the month of Ramadan, is on the website also, on the nationsmosque.org website. Right. And we do have CDs for the from Ambassador Rasul's khutbah at the Eid celebration, and they're in a bookstore for anyone who wants them. A celebration of family choosing healthy lifestyles. You are invited to this on August 13th, 2014 at 5:30 p.m. This will be held at the Kellogg Center at the Gallaudet University. The address is 800 Florida Avenue Northeast, Washington, D.C. 20002. And this information, you can go to the office also for more information on this families choosing healthy lifestyles. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Announce the subject, and
You want to do it, because I don't want to mess it up. I won't mess it up.